All right, let's get going. I'm kind of excited to hear about this new product from Fortress. Brad is going to run the deck here and introduce himself. Once we get through the introduction, then I'll find out about it. So yeah, basically it's the new product from Fortress, a high voltage battery with some nice system components going with it. First, I'll go through our green tech introduction. Brad, if you want to go to, of course, getting started. As usual, we'll have data sheets, any resources or collateral available right now. They'll be available under handouts. They are not uploaded yet, but we will be uploading them as we go. Got the two of us on right now. Please post all of your questions into the chat that we have running, and we will answer them. If it looks like there's some good pertinent ones, we'll try to get to them immediately. If not, we'll get to them at the end. And then, of course, we'll be recording this, and you will be able to enjoy it at your leisure later if you like to. So yeah, Brad, let's go to the next one. Of course, so I'm Stuart Fox, kicking off the presentation. I work in the Green Tech Renewables Design Services team. We're a nationwide engineering group. You could also call us design and technical sales for the entire Green Tech organization. We are a service within Green Tech, and we support the Green Tech locations across the country and their customers directly. So if you're a Green Tech customer and you're signed up for a design services account, you basically have 24/7 access to a design team at your disposal. We do pretty much everything to do with solar and supporting solar and renewables. Carports, batteries, or carports are one of the least known things that we do, but of course all battery design. We can deal with almost any type of permitting situation and authority having jurisdiction that you can imagine. And yeah, that's anything to support your project. So yeah, Brad, let's go to the next one. And then of course, Green Tech Renewables doesn't need much of an introduction, but it's we're a nationwide team of renewables professionals and warehousing and distribution, but with a very local focus. So our target is to really have the highest possible level of customer service and integrity on a local basis. 100 locations now, and every location has an extensive on-site inventory. But it goes way beyond just inventory. There's services like financing, of course, design and engineering, and yes, our core values are service, integrity, and reliability. And to that end, we've been working with Fortress for a long time and have enjoyed their integrity and reliability as well. So let's move into the deck. Brad, why don't you take it over, and thanks for this presentation, and take it away.
Yeah, so my name is Brad Ure. I am the Southeast Regional Manager for Fortress Power. So a little bit about my background is I actually started in solar back in 2016. I was working mostly on the residential side, and pretty much did everything from helping in operations to sales management to in homes with customers. So been around a couple different products and been in the industry for a minute. Fortress Power, some of you may already be familiar with us. Others of you maybe not quite so much. But historically and in the past, we've primarily been a battery manufacturer. So we've done high quality automotive grade batteries for solar connections. We've worked with different inverter partners and different things like that. U.S. headquarters based in Langhorne, PA. And then we've got 3 other offices in Asia, California, Puerto Rico. Fortress Power was founded in 2016, so we've got some longevity. We've been around. backed by private equity partner, over 30,000 installs across the world. And we've got multiple government and utility type projects kind of in our books. So naturally today we're all here to talk about the Avalon product. But before we dive too far into the Avalon, I wanted to talk a little bit about last year. So naturally, we've got installers from all over the country in here. And so each market has its different nuances and different things that it experienced in this last year. But the solar industry, often it probably gets overused, but we always like to call it the solar coaster. And last year was no exception to the solar coaster, with ups and downs and different challenges that happened. So for example, many of you guys saw the historic rate hikes that happened with the solar loans and the different loan products that a lot of our customers and a lot of our sales teams rely on to cash flow these projects. Some of you might have gone through labor shortages in some of the markets. The war on net metering is very real. We had California, pretty much the industry leading state, have major changes and overhauls to its net metering policy. And then we also have just had other policy changes that have affected solar across the country. So once again, this isn't new. Anybody who's been in solar for longer than a few years knows that we have these ups and downs in the solar industry. But that kind of presents some very unique opportunities for 2024. And as you guys look to build and grow your business. And so as we've gone about designing the Avalon product, it's really designed with you guys in mind, and helping you, and it's targeted to help you kind of overcome some of these key challenges that you've gone through, or some of the things that have resulted from this last year. And so as I go through the presentation, I'm going to kind of highlight on a couple points on how, we'll talk about some of the technical specs, of course, as well. But really focus on how the Avalon can help you differentiate within your market, because this last year in 2023, we did see a lot of solar installers go under, both large national players and then also smaller local and regional installers. And a lot of the installers that have remained are offering a lot of the same products and a lot of the same technologies, which has turned a lot of these proposals and into almost a commodity game, which, as you know, once you become a commodity, your margins decrease and it becomes a lot tougher to sell. And so the Avalon, hopefully you can see how it can help you differentiate your product lineup, be a little bit different from your competitors, and really help build more value with customers. And then on top of that, really help you innovate and solve new problems for your clients. In a lot of markets throughout the past, sales teams have really focused on the bill swap, right? So that's the problem they solve. They say, your utility bill's too high. Here's a way to get a lower utility bill. And that's great for training. You can have reps come in and out a lot quicker. It's easier to train on it because you're simplifying the solar process and cutting out additional components. But the downside to that is then it gets really tied into what they're currently paying for their electricity. And so as interest rates have gone up, it's shrunk those margins, making it more difficult to show cash flow for customers. And so the Avalon can help you, and we'll talk about this a little bit more as we talk about the smart energy panel, but it can help you solve new problems for your customers and help your sales teams break that cycle of the bill swap mentality, to where everything has to be about being lower than their electric bill. And then naturally a focus on additional products and increasing attachment rates to help increase margins, and kind of help you navigate and grow in 2024 as we have different things come and go throughout the year. So the Avalon system has three major components. So we have the Avalon inverter, we have the Avalon smart energy panel, and then we have the Avalon battery. So the Avalon is really unique because of the smart energy panel. It is able to offer whole home backup with smart energy management. The smart energy panel, it has 200 amp pass through. It's outdoor rated, The entire system is outdoor rated, so it can go indoor or outdoor. It offers integrated load shedding, grid tied or off grid situations, AC or DC coupled, as an integrated rapid shutdown device so that you can meet all of your NEC requirements. And then it is compatible with both a generator as well as a level 2 car charger. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about the smart energy panel. And then currently up to 58.8 kilowatt hours of storage per inverter, but there is going to be a lot more scalability with the system here soon as we update the software. So let's dive into each component piece by piece a little bit so that you can get a basic understanding of how each part works and how it interacts with the other pieces. So the Avalon battery, as you can see, there's kind of some lines that kind of differentiate down the sides and through the middle of the battery. And that's just to show that each battery is its own module. Gio, I think if you want to go on mute there's some background noise. Sorry, Gio just joined us. He's our product engineer that'll be helping us out during our Q&A session. And Gio, if you can hear me, go ahead and put yourself on mute for a minute. And when we get to the Q&A, hop back in with us. So as we kind of continue here, one battery stack can be up to 6 battery modules, and you can have 2 stacks per inverter. And so that means each stack is scalable 14.7 to 29.4 kilowatt hours per stack. And then you can do 2 stacks once again per inverter. And then once here soon, you'll be able to do 3 inverters per system for a total of 6 stacks per system. So each battery module is a sealed battery, so it protects against dust, water, and humidity, has active heating and passive cooling management, and then 8,000 cycle life, and it's stackable. So basically you put the floor plate down on the ground, and then you stack each battery unit, and then you can kind of see these end caps. They come off, and that's where the battery connections are. Each battery weighs about 90 pounds, so it makes installation very simple and very quick, just stacking the different battery modules. So this top unit of the Avalon battery is the battery management module, and this is what contains the BMS. This is where the heater's located, but then it connects down into each individual battery, and it does have active heating for your high elevations or your off-grid projects or exterior installations that need to keep that battery within the right temperature ranges. The BMS unit weighs about 30 pounds. Now, each module, we already talked a little bit about them, but they are connected in series, passive cooling, active heating, and they are 4.9 kilowatt hours per battery. So a base Avalon system includes 3 battery modules and the battery management module. So it's a 14.7 kilowatt hour system for the base Avalon system. And then you can add 4.9 kilowatt hours at a time to the battery, up to 29.4 per stack. So here's kind of a look of what it looks like once the end caps are taken off here. So depending on whether you need the heating or not, you can connect the heating wires, but the batteries are very simply just connected in series one with another. So now the next component is the Avalon inverter. This comes in a 7.6 or an 11.4 hybrid inverter, and it does include up to 4 MPPTs, and you can do up to 18.24 kilowatts DC PV array on each 11.4. It can be AC or DC coupled, and it does have an integrated rapid shutdown transmitter in the inverter. So the rapid shutdown transmitter is actually just right up here if we had a bigger picture. But basically the battery ties into the Avalon's inverter as well as your 4 MPPTs from the solar array. Now it can be AC coupled, but we'll talk about AC coupling when we talk about the smart energy panel. But most of your savings when it comes to the Avalon system are going to come in a DC coupled system, because this inverter acts as the battery inverter as well as the PV inverter, and it gives you added efficiency so that you don't have to add additional panels to account for the loss of efficiency that you get with AC coupled systems typically. So moving on to the next component here, we have the Avalon Smart Energy Panel. So this is really the brains of the entire system and kind of what helps differentiate the Avalon system from a lot of the other products on the market. So the Smart Energy Panel, it does have a 200 amp pass-through, has a grid transfer switch and load management all within one panel. So it can combine multiple solar arrays and batteries, inverters, EV chargers, generators, whatever it is that you need to add to the system. It can all be integrated into the Smart Energy Panel. So it has integrated smart load control in it. That's 12 single pole or 6 double pole circuits. So they can connect their HVAC, their water pump, their heaters, their microwaves, their lights, and each load control socket gets consumption data so the customer can understand how they're using energy with their highest loads. And then it also gives you consumption data for the home as well. And then on top of that, it has automatic load shedding so that if the customer, for example, has a 7.6 kilowatt inverter, but their air conditioner's a 6-ton air conditioner, you can set the profile so that the AC automatically sheds, and that saves you the time and effort of having to do that critical loads panel. Now, it also gives the customer control during those power outages so that if they do have a more robust system that can handle some of the heavier loads for shorter periods of time, if they don't like that load profile and how it's automatically shed those loads, they can go ahead and take control of the power in their home during that power outage so that if it's a short, like brownout situation, they can manage their loads differently than if it's a long-term power outage where they're going to have to be more concerned about having power for longer periods of time. So there is no transfer switch needed. You can connect and operate a generator without that need for the external transfer switch. It integrates directly into the panel. You don't need additional AC combiner boxes or anything like that. It all ties directly into the Smart Energy Panel along with a car charger. So one of the nice things is if you have customers that you want to remarket to after they have their installation of their Avalon system, you can market to them to add on an EV charger because the Avalon makes it extraordinarily simple. The Avalon also has a landing spot for the PV breaker, so it can save you costly main panel upgrades if there's nowhere else to land the PV breaker. It's with the Avalon system, it actually lands directly into the Smart Energy Panel. So here we can see a recent install here, and up here's there's an LCD display for easy commissioning. This also integrates in with an app. Now, what's cool about the Smart Energy Panels, it does have Bluetooth capability as well. And so if you're installing this in an off-grid location without internet connectivity, you can still commission the system through the screen, and then you just have to register it later when you get off-site naturally through the internet. But that customer can still monitor their system even if they don't have internet using through the app using the Bluetooth feature, and they can control their smart loads using that Bluetooth feature. So down here at the bottom, you can see there's those relays for the smart load control. And this one just has a couple of them tied in, but it has 12 single pole available for additional loads. And then it has 6 double pole, and that doesn't include the ports for like the generator or AC coupled systems. So here's kind of a one-line diagram of what an Avalon system might look like. So we have our Avalon inverter, once again, 11.4 or 7.6, and we have the PV tied directly down into the inverter. And then from the battery, we also drive that directly into the inverter. And then the inverter connects down into the Smart Energy Panel. And then the circuits from the main home that are going to be backed up, they run into the relays and then back out of the relays back into the circuit to have that smart load control feature. And then naturally we have our electric meter where the main electricity is coming in from the grid straight through the built-in CTs. So with the built-in CTs, you don't have to worry about an installer clamping them on wrong or putting them upside down. They're built directly into the smart energy panel. And as you run the grid through, it goes directly through those CTs. So this is kind of the basic one-line diagram of how this looks and how that smart energy panel is kind of at the center of everything going on here. So the Avalon system is currently available now. We do have it in stock. We do have installs operational out in the field. Here's a picture of a recent installation. We do have our ongoing roadshow though, and so we'll make sure that these dates and locations are available to you. But we are taking the Avalon on the road where you can have an opportunity to actually see and interact with the Avalon system. And see how it's commissioned, and take a look at the battery connections, different things like that. We are going across the country, multiple different locations, multiple different dates. So make sure that after we get this sent out to you, the dates, you mark one down in your calendar, you come visit us, see how the system works. So in the meantime, though, we do have lots of resources currently available for the Avalon, and you can start your certification process. So after the webinar today, come back in or visit us at fortresspower.com, and all you're going to do is go up to the top to the training tab. You'll click on the training tab, and then it'll give you options to sign up as an authorized dealer training, and then the Avalon installer training. So just click into the Avalon installer training. You get into the Avalon installer training, you're going to see all of our courses and bundles that will help you become a pro at installing and becoming a master at the Avalon. It'll have commission training, product walkthroughs, unboxing, communications info, power connections, all your additional resources that you need to actually be able to go through and install an Avalon system. So to kind of do a recap here, the Avalon, it's an all-in-one solution that basically incorporates a lot of the things like smart energy management, transfer switches, all in one location in the smart energy panel. And that's able to integrate and scale out a large battery system for people who have large battery needs, or clear down to a 14.7 kilowatt hour system. And by offering the Avalon product, you can help differentiate yourselves from the competition, especially as solar and batteries become more and more commoditized this year, with everybody offering a lot of the same products. So we actually have Gio here for a Q&A. So I want to open up the floor. We'll go through the chat here, and he can kind of address some of your questions, and we'll go from there.
Is my microphone working?
Yeah, we can hear you, Gio.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone. My name is Alejandro Guerrero, but you can call me Gio. I'm a sales and solutions engineer responsible for the eastern region of the United States. I work at Fortress Power in this position, and I try to help, and most of the time I succeed, customers to design the systems and have the right solutions chosen by them. And yeah, today I'm going to be doing questions and answers. I see some questions here. Some of them I responded to in the written form in the chat. The one that I was typing the response for was from Jeff. So the question was, what are the parameters associated with the SOC set points? Are there time delays, deadbands, etc.? So when you are configuring the load shedding using your phone app or the web app, doesn't matter. When you're doing that portion of your work, you are specifying for each load in what battery percentage interval it is allowed to operate. So for example, you don't want your EV charger, let's say, to come on if the batteries are below 40%. You can specify the battery SOC range between 40 to 100. You can, so for something else, you can have it from, let's say, 50 to 70. It's completely arbitrary. So that's to address that question. The next one would be, so what sort of grid interactivity software is available for things like time fuse rates and self-consumption zero cell sorted systems. Yeah, so once you are commissioning the Avalon system, you are selecting the mode of operation. You are selecting the mode of operation between the three. So it's either live off-grid, sell, it's live off-grid and sell to the grid, and also what we call self-consumption. For time of use rates, because the hours are different, days in some cases are different, you have additional configuration interface where you specify the times and dates and days of week and so forth. For time use, you also specify the output power. It can be 0. For example, if you were to do self-consumption, you could select 0 export and that's it. And whatever solar you have available will go to your loads. If not to the loads, then to the battery. Next, so the Paul here, he is saying that he reported some issues with the training portal, and he's asking if the issues has been corrected.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ileana responded to that one. She checked in. It looks like that has been corrected in the training portal. So next question here, I think we have is, what are the warranties on this product?
Yes. So warranty is up to 15 years. 15 years would be for the battery bank. Now, 5 years for the smart energy panel and 10 years for the inverter. Am I correct?
Yep. And then next question here, can a customer that does not want solar panels be able to charge the batteries?
Yes. So that will be the task for the inverter. It would take the AC power, maybe generator or the grid, and it would invert the AC, turn it into a DC, and charge the batteries. So it will be doing the reverse process of what it's doing to provide the battery power to the loads. When you're providing battery power to the loads, you take DC and turn it into AC and power the loads. And when you're trying to charge the battery with the AC source, you would allow the inverter to change the AC to DC and charge the battery. And yes, this system can work completely without any solar. It can work off grid. So yeah, that goes without saying. Now,
so the next couple questions we have here, Gio, are from Eric. He asks, what are the advantages of Avalon versus other ESS? And I might take a minute to talk about that, and then you can add anything in you want there, Gio. When it comes to the advantages of Avalon over other storage solutions that are out there on the market, it really depends on what you're talking about. If you notice, or which other option you're talking about. If you're comparing this to a lot of the AC coupled options out there, there's going to be a large efficiency improvement when you DC couple a system with the Avalon. It's up to 95% efficient, which naturally means you don't have to have those extra solar panels to make up for the loss in efficiency that you get with other AC coupled solutions. So you have the efficiency that's going to be higher. You have the integrated smart energy management. So this is an Avalon Fortress Power product in the smart energy panel. So there's no third-party boxes that you're relying on to have that smart energy management for homes. So you can easily add another feature, solve more problems for your customer than you can with other solutions, and then still have that one hand to shake. Now, there are a lot of products, like in the past, Fortress Power has primarily manufactured batteries, and we've worked with inverter partners, and a lot of them are great, but what we run into, especially with batteries, and many of you have probably experienced the same, where when there's a different inverter and battery manufacturer, that can lead to a lot of warranty problems in the future and make it frustrating and have delays in getting the proper support while everything's being parsed out as to whose fault is what. And so the Avalon does provide that one hand to shake when it comes to warranty, not just with the inverter battery, but also with that smart energy integration. You're not reliant on third party. Basically, it's all one warranty, all one support ticket if issues do arise. It also makes fleet management far easier when it comes to managing your systems and monitoring your systems. And then in addition to that, it makes it a lot easier for the customer when they have one portal to log into. They don't have different portals to monitor their battery versus their solar. Everything's located within the same portal. Now, the next question that you have here is,
I would add very quickly to that. The additional thing would be that this comes very close to plug and play when it comes to residential system, because you have the inverter, you have the smart energy panel, you have the battery. Your existing grid goes to the smart energy panel, and your existing main electrical panel connects to the load port of the smart energy panel. And that means that you don't have to put in additional combiner boxes, additional load shedding. You don't have to worry about the breakers that much. And yeah, that saves you time, because we remove the complexity, and that removed complexity is also related to the material cost. Also, the batteries are high voltage, so there's not only efficiency in terms of we have less heat losses, but also you use the thinner cables. That's a benefit there as well. So plus, when we're talking about the efficiency, you need a relatively smaller panel to achieve the same amount of output that you would achieve with less efficient system. So when you combine all of those, the advantages are pretty significant. Sorry, Brad, for interrupting.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Gio. Thanks for adding there. Eric then asked if the inverter can be used without the smart energy panel. So to answer that one briefly here, currently with the Avalon system, all three components have to be involved. Later this year, there is a possibility that we will have an Avalon Lite version that omits the smart energy panel. Now there is some costs factors, since the smart energy panel integrates so many of the additional components that you typically need with a battery installation, such as an external transfer switch. How much money that actually saves is something that's also being weighed there too, because the smart energy panel, it really does kind of change how you install the system and what additional components are needed to install the system. So Gio, this next question is definitely one that's going to be for you here. It's from Bill. What temperature range are basically, I think
battery is good too. Yes.
Yeah.
And what is the heater consumption?
Heater consumption.
If memory serves me well, the heater consumption is 0.3 kilowatt hours per module, but I can be mistaken. This will be the great opportunity for me to refresh my memory and talk to our product manager. And in terms of temperature, the cell temperatures remain the same. So you can go up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can go down to the freezing temperature when it comes to charging. When it comes to discharging, you can go down to 12 degrees Fahrenheit. How much broader the temperature range becomes with the heater? I think it was 10 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm not mistaken. But it will depend on the environment, on the temperature, and also on the elevation. So there are different factors there.
So next question from Leon here is where can we get installation manuals and operation manuals? So if you go to fortresspower.com and then go up to the training tab, you can sign up for to be a certified Avalon installer, and in the additional resource folder, you can find installation manuals. The spec sheet is in the handout section here on the call if you want to check that out as well.
So next question is, what do you mean by the battery modules are connected in series? So before, for example, even when we're talking about our own eVolt Maxes and eFlexes, you are connecting them in parallel. Connecting them in parallel makes the voltage constant, but by adding more batteries, there's more current flow from the battery bank. Here, the current flow remains constant. So the battery modules are connected in series so that the voltage increases with more modules you have. To put it simply, when you're connecting in parallel, the current flow increases with the amount of batteries, but the voltage remains the same. In series, the voltage increases, but the current flow remains the same. The difference being that when you're connecting the batteries in series, positive of one connects to the negative of the other. When you're connecting the batteries in parallel, positive connects to positive, negative connects to negative.
All right. So, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, next question here, Gio, this is going to be more for you as well. It says, for zero export, how many milliseconds will it take for the inverter to shut down on grid loss? Our utility has constrained areas where we can only load and displace, and they want very short time.
I think right now it's 3 seconds, but with the next iteration of firmware, it's going to be seamless. Now, I don't know the timeline at the moment, but yeah, our goal and our target is seamless, and that is achievable because we have seamless with our NV inverters, for example. So yeah, we're getting there. For now, I think it's.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think for the next firmware update, I think it was less than 10 milliseconds was the target, if I remember the spec, if the right.
So, yeah, less than 10 milliseconds is considered to be seamless.
And that will be an over-the-air update as well. So it'll be pretty simple. So next question, can I install this system over 7,000 feet of altitude?
From my memory, you can install it up to 9,000 feet. But that is given on the spec sheet. So you can refer to it later, or I can refer to it now while Brad is reading the next question.
Yep. So what is the lead time to Canada? Gio, do you know on Canada deployment if we're good to go up there yet?
I think certification wise, we have the testing completed. We're just waiting for the report. So before we receive the report, we can only provide the letter of compliance.
So Eric, reach out to your green tech rep. They can get in touch with the Fortress rep that covers that part of Canada and get a more specific lead time for you. And then from Kathy here, Gio, is the system Title 24 compliant?
Title 24, I'm not sure it is.
Okay, I can mark that one, Kathy, and we can see if we can get back to you with a more specific answer. I'm honestly not quite sure what Title 24 is, to be honest, but we can probably get some answers for you there. Next question, can you please elaborate more on AC coupling and DC coupling connections? Gio, I'll let you take this
one. Before I do so, about the altitude, yes, you can install a system over 7,000. I just checked the cap. It's not 9,000, it's 13,120. Let's say roughly 13,000 feet. So yes, for sure, you can go above 7,000 feet. In terms of DC coupled and AC coupled, the inverter, each of them, doesn't matter whether it's 7.6 or 11.4. Each inverter has 4 MPPTs, each of them being completely independent of each other. Combined, they can accept the input of 18 kilowatts. So each MPPT accepts 4.5 kilowatts. And DC coupled solar always goes to the inverter. In terms of AC coupled solar, if you have AC coupled solar, that means you already have the means to have the AC signal available from the solar production. So that would be your solar inverter. You just take the cables, L1 and L2 from that solar inverter, and you land that on the main bus bar of the smart energy panel by the means of a breaker. And that's it. Your AC coupled solar is connected to the SCP. So the key thing here to remember is 18 kilowatts of DC coupled solar, and DC coupled solar connects to the inverter, and AC coupled solar is connected to the smart energy panel, but the limit on it will be 12 kilowatts because the AC coupled solar has its own load shedding ports.
Okay,
and the load shedding ports are capped at 50 amps.
Thanks, Gio. And then just another note on the DC coupled side, we do have a firmware update coming that will allow up to 3 inverters per smart energy panel, which will allow for much larger DC coupled solar arrays. And then once again, once the firmware is all updated, you'll be able to do 2 battery stacks per each inverter, so up to 6 battery stacks of 29.4. So moving on here, the optimizer, you can get a built-in rapid shutdown device from AP Systems or Tigo integrated in with the Avalon inverter. So it is a partner optimizer integration there. And then Michael Geo, he asks, what are the inverter standby losses?
So to just add one more thing to the first question, when we say a rapid shutdown device, we mean the rapid shutdown transmitter. The receivers you're going to have to install your own behind the solar panels. But yeah, you just connect the power cables to the inverter, and that's it. The transmitter is already in there. And the next question was standby losses.
Yep.
I think it was 0.2 kilowatts, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And then Jordan, you can reach out to me, Geo, or pretty much anybody at Fortress Power.
Actually, not 0.2. I think it was under 0.1. I don't remember. I can find that out later for you.
Yep. So Jordan, you can reach out to myself, Geo, or pretty much anybody, any of the regionals for support on design. I'll put up. I'll real quick go in and edit the slide that's up to have my contact info, and you can start there if you want. Geo, I'll let you go through some of these more questions while I update this slide with some of my contact here.
Okay, sounds good. Let me go back to the question board. Let's see how far I go. Yeah. So then the other question.
This is the chair that goes there. Yeah.
Okay. I found where we were. Who can I reach out for design questions and guidance? You can reach out to your regional sales representative, sales manager, or sales support by calling Fortress Power and selecting one for sales. And based on your geographic location, they're going to assign an engineer to you, and you're going to give them the summary of what you're trying to do. You can even schedule a meeting where we'll sit and discuss what are the options and so forth. So yeah, either sales manager, account manager, or sales support. Is an inverter warranty extension available? Brad, what is the answer to that? Is an inverter warranty extension available?
Not currently. So presently it's just 10 years and it's non-extendable.
So the next question is, I see inverter surge specs at 240 volts AC, but wondering how well the inverter can handle imbalanced loads on the two legs, or 120 volt loads when in off-grid or battery backup mode. They can handle those very well because the technology has caught up to such needs. Because I know that, for example, 10 years ago, because there were such inverters, hybrid inverters were transformerless, they were really struggling with the load imbalance, but it is not the case anymore. Are there derating charts per temperature? I have not seen one, but I can request one if we have it for, I'm sure we should have it from our product director. What is the BMS cutoff voltage to the high voltage stack? That's a good question. Let me do a quick calculation.
So while Geo's calculating there, Kathy asks, is this system available for purchase now? It is in stock. We do have installers that have been installing here for the last couple of months. So there are commissioned systems out in the field, and it is currently in stock and available. So reach out to your Green Tech rep for pricing, and they'll be able to help facilitate any purchase inquiries.
Mm-hmm. So the cutoff voltage would be 45 volts per module, because the nominal is 48. So that would be 3 volts per cell. Is this system available? Yeah. The solar panels can be of any brand, correct? Yes, it can be of any brand. SGIP approved. It is SGIP approved. What is the battery voltage of the inverter? So, well, it depends how many battery modules you have. With each module, you're adding 48 volts. The starting is 144 because you cannot get the Avalon with less than 3 battery modules. 3 battery modules, 45 volts each, would be 144 volts. By adding more modules, you increase the voltage. And once you top out on the stack, when you have 6 battery modules, that's 288 volts. Then when you add the second stack, which also has 6 modules, the voltage doesn't change because the stacks connect to each other in series. Oh, I'm sorry, in parallel, whereas the modules connect to each other in series. The MPPTs will take total, but you can put in it. How does that work? Will the extra solar go? Yeah. So the MPPTs combined allow for 18 kilowatts. That goes without saying. So that's the 4.5 kilowatts per MPPT, which in total is 18 kilowatts. When I say 12 kilowatts, 12 kilowatts is the limit for the AC coupled solar, which has nothing to do with the MPPTs because the AC signal doesn't go through MPPTs. It directly goes to the smart energy panel. In terms of the extra solar going to the batteries, 1.6 is the magic number to remember. Because, for example, you have solar panels, right? And your solar panels produce a lot of energy. You have 7.6 kilowatt inverter. The 7.6 kilowatt inverter can send 7.6 kilowatts to the load, and then 60% of its 7.6, which is, or up to 60%. Let me calculate what that is. Okay, so 4.6 kilowatts. It can send to the batteries. So whatever the inverter rating is, it can provide that much power to the load, and simultaneously to that 60% of its power rating to the batteries to charge them. So then how big of a generator can you put on the smart panel? On the smart panel, the current limit to the generator size is 12 kilowatts. But later, we have plans on allowing for microgrid function, which will increase the generator limit, generator kilowatt limit to 48. That will become available in June. Next time, don't have people move the office in the background. The noise overhead is really annoying. My sincere apologies, but I'm in the hotel lobby. I'm traveling for business, and I decided, no matter the difficult conditions, to jump into the webinar and not to waste time going to my room. Again, my sincere apologies. Is the BMS using active balancing, passive balancing, or other? It is using passive balancing. Yes, it's using passive balancing. It depends on your smart energy panel and inverter have different maximum elevations. That could be the case because the elevation limitation comes from the fact that there's different cooling. So higher you go in terms of elevation, the less cool atmospheric cooling effect you get because the air density goes low. So when I said 13,120, what I was referring to, I think, was the battery. Let me check that. Okay, 13,120 is for the inverter, and for the battery, let me take a look. Brad, are there any other questions?
So there's a couple more in here. All Are your inverters compatible to SB standards as required by National Grid?
Okay, so to answer the question, 9,000 feet is for the smart energy panel, 13,000 feet is for the inverter. So I was correct initially, the limit is 9,000. Still over 7,000, but nonetheless. So it's appears your smart energy panel will have different maximum. Okay. It appears, I'm sorry, what was the question, Brad?
Are your inverters compatible to SB standards as required by National Grid?
SB standards, I'm not familiar. What is meant by SB standards?
Not positive.
It might be UL 1741 SB. I see that it's 1741 PCS, which I think might be the same. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we are UL 1741 certified. Our inverter is. That's how we're able to have the export to the grid. Without those certifications, that would not be possible. No one would allow us.
Yeah, the big question here John just posted is it UL 1741 CRD? That's really important. And you guys are showing PCS on your spec sheet, which is great. But you might want to just double check that.
Yeah, I know that we have SA, SB, and just UL 1741 in terms of
perfect.
PC. Yeah, so
the CRD is critical. If you can update that at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll check and get that updated. Let's go ahead and kind of wrap up here, though. We're getting close to that hour mark. Before everybody starts jumping off, I wanted to take a minute and thanks Stuart and Green Tech for hosting this webinar and taking the time to kind of go through it and help us and help you guys get more information on the Avalon product. And then just want to reiterate the invitation to go into our training resource center, to go through the videos, see what it takes to be a certified installer. And then my contact information is located here. For any sales training that you want, we're more than happy to aid with sales training for any of your sales teams, and I can help you facilitate that. So feel free to reach out. We'll schedule a time with your sales team to either come in or virtually go over, and we can do a sales training on the battery as well as a technical training that is geared towards your salespeople so that they can understand the benefits and how they can use the Avalon to kind of differentiate themselves from the competition. But then in addition to that, solve more problems for your customers so that you can increase your customer base.
Yes.
Thanks, Brad.
And before I say bye, there were 3 more questions which I'd really like to answer. So yes, AC coupled solar is controlled by frequency shifting. When the grid goes off, yes, the frequency from the grid disappears. But I think what we have done for the Avalon, and I think something similar was done for the Envy, you can emulate the frequency. So for example, on the Envy, even when the grid goes off, we still have AC coupled solar available to charge the batteries. And about the loads, I'm not sure, but yes, even in off-grid situation, you can harvest AC coupled solar. And the total harmonic disruption factor for the generator, unfortunately, I don't know. So that will be all the answers that I had for now. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope that I was helpful answering your somewhat technical questions. And thanks to Green Tech for having us.
Yeah, Gio, this is Stuart. Sorry, my camera just wouldn't come back on when I rejoined the stage, but you got some tough questions, some good questions, and you really nailed it.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, really good. And then Brad, I just had one question. Do you know which Green Tech locations are stocking the product already? Are there any yet?
As far as ones that have sitting stock, I'm not positive on. There may be 1 or 2, but I do know that because of our relationship with Green Tech, you guys should be able to, or Green Tech can offer it currently. All the pricing and everything and all the resources have been sent out. And then we do have inventory ready to pull for any of those orders for you guys.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
Good. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.